There is a number hiding in your driveway. Most people never calculate it because the cost doesn't arrive as a bill. It arrives as a car that's simply worth less than it was last year, and nobody sends you an invoice for that. So I ran it. 40 years. Age 25 to 65. Two people with the same income, the same commute, the same need for a car every single day of their working lives. The only difference between them is what they drive off the lot. One of them always buys new. The other always buys a 5-year-old car and keeps it for 10 years. After 40 years, the person who always bought new has a net worth of $85,170. The person who bought used has $1,354,478. The gap is $1,269,308. That's not a typo, and it's not a trick. Let me show you exactly where it comes from. Two people, call them the new buyer and the keeper. The new buyer does what a lot of financially responsible people do. He buys a new car, finances it, drives it for 6 years, trades it in on another new one, and repeats. He is never without a warranty. He is also never without a car payment. Over 40 years, he buys 7 cars. The keeper does something different. She buys a 5-year-old version of the same car, finances it over a shorter term at a higher interest rate, and drives it for 10 years, until it's 15 years old. Then she does it again. Over 40 years, she buys 4 cars. Both of them insure their cars. Both of them maintain and repair them. The keeper pays more for repairs because her cars are older, and I'm going to hold her to that honestly. And here's the rule that makes this a fair fight. In every single month, whoever spends less on their car invests the difference, not the winner, whoever happens to be cheaper that month. It runs both directions, every month, for 480 months. That's the only way a comparison like this means anything. Fuel, registration, and taxes are roughly identical on both paths, so they cancel out, and I've left them alone. Everything here is a real, current, published number, and I'll put every one of them on screen. The average new vehicle transaction price in June of 2026 is $49,758. That's Kelley Blue Book, tracking what people actually paid, not sticker prices. The average new car loan is 7%. The average used car loan is 10.5%. Both from Edmunds, June 2026. The keeper is borrowing at a worse rate. I'm keeping that against her. The average new car loan runs 69 months. Maintenance, repairs, and tires on a new car run about $1,450 a year from AAA's Your Driving Costs study. Investment return, 7% a year. Inflation, 2.5%, inflates the price of every future car, so the new buyer's 7th costs a great deal more than his first. And then the number the whole thing turns on? Depreciation. A car loses about 22% of its value in the first year, then about 10% of what's left every year after. Watch what that depreciation curve actually does. The new buyer drives off the lot in a $49,758 car. 1 year later, it's worth $38,811. He didn't crash it. He didn't do anything wrong. He just owned it. 6 years later, when he trades it in, it's worth $22,918. He has lost $26,840 on one car, which works out to $4,473 a year. Here's how I know that number is right, rather than something I invented. AAA's own study puts annual depreciation on a new vehicle at $4,334. My curve says $4,473. Those are two completely independent methods landing 3% apart. And there's a second check. If you take my depreciation curve and ask what a 5-year-old version of that new car should cost today, it says $25,464. The actual average used vehicle price is $25,390. That's a gap of 0.3%, so the curve isn't my opinion. The used car market and AAA both confirm it. Now repeat that 7 times, with each new car costing more than the last, and the new buyer's monthly outlay never stops. The keeper buys the same car 5 years old for $25,464. Somebody else has already eaten the steep part of the curve. The first year cliff, the second year, the third, all of that damage happened on someone else's balance sheet. She's buying the flat part. Her interest rate is worse. Her repair bills are higher, and they climb every year the car ages. Her car is less safe to insure against total loss and less pleasant to own in year 14 than in year 1. All of that is real, and all of it is in the model. And she still pays less. In 465 of the 480 months, the new buyer's car costs more than hers. In the very first month, the difference is $3,159. Across the whole 40 years, it averages $608 a month. There's one more line in her favor that almost nobody counts. Insurance. You insure a car against what it's worth, so the new buyer is permanently insuring an expensive asset, while the keeper is insuring a cheap one. Over 40 years, he pays $116,927 in premiums. She pays $74,750. That's a $42,000 difference he never chose and never sees, because it arrives 6 months at a time. $600 a month, invested at 7% for 40 years. That's the entire story. Here is where the two of them land at 65. The new buyer has a portfolio of $16,345 and a car worth $68,825. Total net worth, $85,170. The keeper has a portfolio of $1,338,017 and a Carhartt worth $16,461. Total net worth, $1,354,478. The difference is $1,269,308. Notice something about those two piles. The new buyer's net worth is almost entirely a car. The keeper's is almost entirely money. One of those appreciates. Neither of them is a mystery. The story people tell about new cars is that the problem is the interest. Dealer financing, 7-year loans, the payment trap. The interest is not the problem. Over 40 years, the new buyer burns $544,294 on cars. Of that, interest is $75,983, about 14%. Insurance is $116,927. Maintenance is $58,399. Depreciation is $292,986. That is 53.8% of everything he spends on cars. More than interest, insurance, and maintenance combined, you could hand the new buyer a 0% loan on every car he ever bought, and he would still lose most of this race. Because he isn't losing money to a lender, he's losing it to a curve, and he re-enters the steepest part of that curve every 6 years, on purpose, by choice. The keeper burns $279,360 total. Her depreciation is $88,192. Her repair bill is actually higher than his, $86,758 against his $58,399. She loses the maintenance argument and wins anyway. Now let me try to make the new buyer win. I tested this 38 different ways, and I want to be honest about what happened. Drop the investment return to 3%. The keeper is still ahead by $458,689. Say the new buyer is sensible and buys a $30,000 car instead of an average one. Still behind by $706,862. Say he holds each new car 12 years instead of 6, which is longer than almost anyone actually keeps a new car. Still behind by $722,822. Say the keeper's used loan is at 18%, which is subprime territory. She's still ahead by $1,135,796. Say cars depreciate much more slowly than the data says, 12% in year 1 instead of 22. Still a gap of 1,076,624. Say the keeper is less patient than I've made her and replaces her used car every 6 years instead of holding it 10. She's still ahead by 1,148,820. It turns out the holding period barely matters. What matters is which part of the depreciation curve you're standing on when you buy. 38 scenarios. Digyo. The keeper won all 38. I could not construct a defensible set of assumptions where always buying new comes out ahead. That's not a result I expected, and it's not a result I'm comfortable stating without showing you the one thing that does break it. There is exactly one way the keeper loses, and it is not a small one. She has to actually invest the difference every month for 480 months. If she doesn't, if that $600 a month just gets absorbed into ordinary life, which is what usually happens to money that isn't automatically moved somewhere, then the arithmetic inverts, because if neither of them invests anything, then at 65, the new buyer owns a car worth $68,825 and the keeper owns a car worth $16,461. The new buyer is ahead by $52,364. Every dollar of that $1.27 million is created by the investing, not by the saving. Buying used doesn't make you rich. Buying used and then moving the difference in the market makes you rich. Those are completely different behaviors, and only one of them is on your calendar. The first thing people say is that old cars are money pits, that you pay in repairs whatever you saved on the purchase. So I solved for it. How expensive would the keeper's repairs have to be before the new buyer wins? $16,333 a year by the time her car is 15 years old. That car is worth $16,461. For the always new strategy to win, the old car would have to consume its own entire value in repairs. Every single's that. At that point, you don't repair the car, you scrap it and buy another used one, which is exactly what the model already has her doing. The second thing people say is that a 15-year-old car is an unreasonable thing to drive. The average car on American roads right now is 12 and a half years old. She's slightly above average. She is not an outlier. The third thing, and this one is fair, is that none of this prices what a new car is actually for: the warranty. Not thinking about it, not wondering whether that noise is expensive. That's worth something real. It just isn't worth free. And there's a fourth objection worth taking seriously. Reliability isn't evenly distributed. A 15-year-old car from a brand with a reputation for lasting is a completely different proposition from a 15-year-old luxury sedan with an air suspension. The strategy in this video is not buy any old car. It's buy the boring one 5 years in and keep it. Those are not the same instruction, and the second one is the one that produces the number. Big numbers over long horizons deserve to be deflated, so here it is honestly. $1,269,000 in 40 years is not $1.27 million today. Adjusted for 2.5% inflation, the gap is $472,729 in today's money. That is still most of a house, and as retirement income, under the 4% rule, the new buyer's net worth pays him $284 a month. The keeper's pays $4,515. Same job, same income, same 40 years. One decision made 7 times instead of 4. So, your life, if you always buy new cars, you will drive better cars, you will spend less time at mechanics, and less time worrying. Those are real things, and I'm not going to pretend they're worthless. You will also arrive at 65 with your net worth parked in the driveway, depreciating, instead of in an account, compounding. The new car isn't a scam, and the used car isn't a sacrifice. Those are slogans and are how people avoid running the numbers. The truth is quieter. A car is the one large purchase most people make repeatedly. And repetition is what turns a reasonable decision into an expensive habit. Run your own version. Your car, your rate, your history. The arithmetic doesn't care what you drive. I'm going to keep the books. Keep the books, you keep yours.